Hey, Adam, how are you? Good. Good. As usual, I'll start with an injury update. Leo's recovered well from his appendectomy, and he's was on the pitch today, but won't be available for probably another week or so. Adam's surgery went well. He's 8 days out, feeling better. Archie was on the pitch as well today, feeling better with his broken toe, but not available. And then Stuart's making good progress as well, and we're planning on bringing him along with us with whatever we do, which hopefully we'll have an announcement for what we do exactly in December soon. But he'll be part of the group then, so that's big progress there. Yeah, that's good. Everybody else is healthy, including Junior Firpo.
Okay. Hi, Jesse. Good morning, or good afternoon, rather. First off, Patrick Bamford. Last week had that start for the first time in a while. Played, was it 60, 61 minutes. How has he been this week? And given the situation with the results of it, how much extra pressure is there going to be on him to perform at his best?
Yeah, I mean, first it was great that I think he's getting closer and closer to fully being 100%, which he knows he hasn't been in quite some time. So that part's really good. He's looked good in training this week. I said after the match that he's part of the solution for us, for sure, in terms of finding ways to score more goals. And that's what it is. It's getting him physically better. It's getting him fitter. It's getting him more up to speed with our tactics, with everything we're trying to do, and getting him sharper around the goal because we know he's always dangerous. So I think he's a very important guy, and we need to keep him sharp and fit until we get to November 12th.
And is it a case really then with the match fitness? It's just minutes in games that's going to do that.
Yeah. But it's also, I think, training loads. Is making sure that we're getting the most out of every day.
As far as this season is concerned, you've got to about the quarter of the stage through with this game. What would you say has pleased you most about Leeds so far, and conversely, what's perhaps disappointed you?
I think that for the most part, we've played quite well through the runs of our matches. I feel like we've been in the match, and we know how competitive all games are. We haven't, other than Brentford, given up many goals. I think we've been more stable and much better defensively. And then I think the biggest room for improvement is goal scoring. I think in moments when we're on top of games, in moments when we're in the opponent's end, we don't. It's turning advantages into chances and chances into shots and shots into goals. And even when you look at expected goals in some of our games, like, for example, the very first play of the match, or one of the first play of the matches, when Jack wins the ball, plays to Patrick's 7 yards in front of the goal, and we don't even get a shot off, for example, that doesn't register even in expected goals, when in reality, that should be like a 90% goal. So we're still getting our cleanliness and sharpness and confidence and poise around the goal to get us to reward us more. That's the biggest room for improvement.
And is that just down to what you do on the training ground then, really? Yeah,
it's keeping the belief in the group, keeping the clarity and the belief and the confidence in our attacking group that they have what we need, and I believe that they do. Obviously, when we haven't had a result, between the time off and the game situation, we haven't had a result in a long time, a win in a long time. And obviously we feel that, and we're desperate to get this thing moving in the way that we all think to represent the progress that we've made. But there's more work to be done.
It would be massive progress if you were to beat Arsenal. What would that do for the team, for the players, and what sort of signal would it send out, do you think, maybe to the rest of the Premier League, if you were able to beat Arsenal, who are absolutely on fire at the moment? Yeah,
so first, that's what I would say is Arsenal, Mikel Arteta has done an absolutely amazing job. I think he's the most underrated manager in the league. With a young team, he's built this up to be really complex, stable, I think exciting to watch. I think he's done an amazing job, and it's taken him time. He took a lot of heat in the beginning, but I think now you see the fruits of his labor and the fruits of their labor. Obviously, for us, it can be a big boost for us to have a big result against an opponent like this. We are confident. We are confident that at Elland Road we can play the way we want. We believe that Arsenal is very good, and we have to be very calculated with what our match plan is. But we want to be aggressive at the right moments. We still want to try to play our football. We want to challenge them in certain ways. And we know we have to be at our best to have a chance against such an opponent. What it sends in terms of a message to everyone else is less important than what it means to us internally. And I see the work that goes on here every day. My belief in this group is as strong as it's ever been. I think the first half against Palace is the best that we've played since I've been here. So, I mean, you have to think of that as a positive, but it winds up walking away empty because we don't get the result. So, and we don't turn it into a 90-minute performance. So, we're growing and we're moving forward, but slower than all of us would like. That's for sure. Yep.
Jesse, just back on the team news, please. Harvey Sutcliffe, who's been quite impressive with the 21s, how serious is his injury?
Are we ready? Should I say anything about that, James? Okay. Yeah, that's been diagnosed as a torn ACL, so we were all very disappointed for Harvey. You're right. I think he has been a very good player for the 21s, and he has flexibility with where he can play in the back line. His spirits, I think he was initially shocked because he's done the same knee, ACL in the same knee before, and so we were all with him in that. But I think he's doing better now, and he knows what the process is, and he knows he came back really strong from it the first time, and we'll get him taken care of and look after him and make sure that we get him back again really strong and fit and ready to go.
The left-back area has clearly been an issue injury-wise, but is Junior now fully fit and ready to play again? And
yeah.
If he does, is it tough on Pascal Struijk if he does lose his place, say?
No, I mean, right now Pascal's playing at such a high level that we will start with Pascal on the weekend. But, I mean, we need to get Junior fully fit and healthy, and he trained all week this week, and he looked really good. He's still a real important piece for us as things go forward. We have a 3-game week coming up, so I anticipate that he will be ready to go, and we will definitely need minutes from him, and we'll evaluate exactly what we do for each match, but he's ready.
And how big is that calculation up front then, Jesse? Because if you're saying that goal scoring is the biggest sort of room for improvement, Rodrigo's got 4, Patrick obviously at the moment struggling in front of goal. Do you persist with him until it starts coming, or do you rethink now?
The good, with strikers for me, over the years, every striker I've had that's gone through a tough time or even a good time, they get criticized a lot more for the chances that they miss than the ones that they make. And for me, I always look at strikers as, are they fitting into the game the way we want them to? And then are they at least creating chances for themselves or finding themselves in front of the goal? And then even if they're missing chances, I think if they're dangerous in the match, then it's only a matter of time before those moments are going to start to add up. And that's how I feel with Patrick. So yeah, he hasn't scored yet this season, but again, getting him fit, getting him healthy, getting him training every day, and in training, he's scoring goals in 21s matches and these kinds of things. He's scoring goals. So it's going to come. It's going to come.
And how much have you been lifted by knowing that Luis Sinisterra is available again this week?
Yeah, that's important for us because he's one of the guys in the attacking part of the field that creates calmness, that creates ease, that has a real clever way of playing football and has an ability to finish off plays. So we know that Luis will be really important.
And finally, for me, Jesse, there was a different stress when you arrived at the club, when you haven't won for 5 games. In a different scenario, does it feel a different kind of stress now as well, and how are you coping with it?
Yeah, I mean, listen, this job, it always has stresses. They come in different ways. My focus is it always has been, I'm just trying to help the group to be their best at every moment. We've had 5 tests now, and we've passed some parts of the test, but not fully passed it in completion. And that's what we need. We need more times now where all the work that we put in and all the progress that the group is making is adding up to more points, which then breeds confidence in the group. So it's been my job to continue to find ways to keep them confident, to keep the belief high, to keep them focused on what's important, and for them to believe in the process and commit to it. So it becomes harder. That's the job of a good leader and a good manager is when the results aren't coming, to stay calm and help the group understand what the steps are necessary in order to get ourselves back in the form and get the results that will get us moving in the right direction. So that's my stress right now. It's less about getting every result right now and more about just continuing to breed confidence and keep the group moving forward. Yep.
Hi, Jesse. Where do you see the main threat coming from Arsenal?
I mean, I think the combination with Arsenal of the way they play and their clarity as to their roles, along with the individual quality that they have, makes them very difficult to deal with. And I think that's what the job of a manager is to take good players and make them better by introducing them into a system that feeds into their strengths. So if you want to, obviously the front three with Martinelli, Jesus, and Saka are incredibly dangerous and clever 1v1. They're all three at the top of the league in 1v1 take-ons, 1v1 success. They're obviously scoring goals and getting assists in bunches. But then, the moment that you place a little too much attention on any one of them, then Xhaka starts joining in, and Odegaard, and they, they have quality coming from all over the place. So for us, it will take a full tactical understanding and commitment on the day, as well as individual performances in certain moments to manage what they will present. And that's been the talking point, is being very clear with what our tactics are for this match, and then finding the players that can execute at the highest level and have good discipline, but also play with confidence in the moments that we need quality in order to tilt the scale in our favor, which will be a monumental task.
They're a young team, as you say, but at top of the league, it's early in the season. Do you see them as genuine title contenders?
You'd have to say yes. I mean, they've looked very strong, and they've recently played against good opponents as well. So, I mean, I always do a thorough job of scouting with our team. It's not like I'm following every team through the season. You look at the table and you see that they're winning games. You catch moments of games and highlights, and we know that they're a good team and they have good quality, and I think that I always like also when teams and coaches improve and grow together, and that's definitely something that's happened at Arsenal. A team that looked like a club that looked like they weren't going to be so strong about 5-6 years ago, now all of a sudden to be back at the top of the table and playing the football that they're playing says a lot about the commitment that they've made as a club to find a process and stick to it.
Have you grown since you arrived here in February?
Yeah. The league tests you as a manager, I think, in every way. Every match is a little different. Assessing what we have, what we want to become, creating stepping stones for our players individually and as a group, how to get better and how to continue our process and get to where we want to be, trying to accelerate that as much as possible. That's the focus. Then learning and seeing what's happening around the league and learning from opponents, learning how to play against opponents, learning what can be successful, learning what's not so successful, how to create work weeks that are clear and organized and concise so that the players can understand exactly what we're trying to do and commit to it on a daily basis. This is what it is, right? And I said last year when I came during the relegation fight, I had to use all my experiences in my life to help us find a way to manage the moment, and that's still where I'm at. The challenge of this league is at the highest level, and I love it. And I'm just trying to do everything I can to help the group every day.
How difficult is it to get consistency in this league, and particularly this season when it's got breaks that it's got?
Yeah, that's probably true. But those are excuses, I think. We have to. My job, I think, as a manager, is to always try to maximize potential at any given moment, regardless of the scenario, and find ways to use either more time or less time in whatever way necessary to prepare ourselves to get better and better. So, for example, I hadn't had any time to do man down tactics, and we did it more than when we had time, and it helped us in the match when we went down against Villa. And so that winds up being a bonus for us. And so just always trying to use time in ways to make us better. That's the job. That's partly innovation at times, because you're always presented with new situations, and it's creativity, but it's also discipline to understand and experience to understand exactly what's necessary at every moment.
We know Luis is clearly a very, very important player. It's not hard to look at the team and consider that it's probably going to be down to Rodrigo or Bamford to make way for Luis. Rodrigo starts the season brilliantly. I think we can see Patrick maybe as the long-term aim, as having him leading the attack. How hard is that going to be for you to make that call?
Well, I think I think we have a little bit of an attacking core now that's emerging as all potential threats in the way we want to play. So yeah, I mean, we started with Rodrigo and Patrick against Palace, and I think there's a lot of games where we can do that, and Rodrigo's flexibility, I think, gives us that freedom. And then you have Luis, Jack, Brendan, who I think have all had good seasons and are important to the team. I think Cree Somerville is also emerging more and more into that group. And at some point, I'm going to have to say to myself, I've got to let Cree go more. I've got to find more minutes for him. I've got to let him show how good he is. And he's making progress every day. And then, yeah, I mean, I'll have to make decisions based on match plans and opponents and what's necessary in the season and in each match for what we need. And then to challenge those other guys to be ready off the bench. And you could throw Clicky in there, because I think he's been ready at times. I think Joffy's been pushing, whether it's with the 21s or with the first team, to try to get more minutes. So there's a lot to manage with that attacking crew right now, and I'm just trying to make decisions based on exactly what we need for each match so that I can help the team as much as possible.
Where is the club at with contract extensions at the moment? We know there's a number of important players with deals up in 2024. Obviously, Luke's deal, we understand, to be up at the end of this season. Can you give us any update on where those various talks are at?
To be totally honest with you, I'm not always in tune with those things. That's more for Victor and Andrea to sort out with agents. I actually prefer not to know contract situations with players, because I like to just treat them for face value for what they bring every day. And sometimes when I hear contract details, just like now, I don't always like it, because I know that this is still a big part of our jobs and our business, and we have to. The contracts mean a lot to people. But again, I try to stay focused just on the relationships, personal relationships I have, and working relationships I have.
Thank you.
Yep.
Jesse, Patrick gets talked about in pretty much every press conference for very obvious reasons, but how important is it when Patrick's fit that the other players don't sort of hide behind putting all the responsibility on Patrick to score the goals?
I don't think we have that dynamic. I think we believe that Patrick can be a big bonus for us and help us in the attacking part of the field. But I don't think anyone assumes that it's only his role. I think one of the things with attacking players in general, right? The makeup of attacking players is generally more selfish than defensive players, right? That's why defenders typically defend more, and they're more unified in how they do things as a group. And attacking players are a little bit more driven by individual goals and their ego to find those moments. And so for me, it's more about taking the group we have and having them really understand how we work together. We had a good meeting this week where I was with the attacking players and Renee was with the defensive players. And I spoke with them about what the game looked like, what we needed more out of them, how to be more connected in moments, how to have more poise in the final third, how to sometimes be a little bit more individually driven by taking players on and being a little bit more creative and getting the balance right in all those moments. And being an attacking player is is probably harder than being a defensive player. Defensive players maybe harbor more responsibility for when they make mistakes because they give up goals, but finding goals is the hardest thing to do in our sport. And so you have to challenge those guys to understand the system and how they fit in tactically with each other, but then give them freedom to go out and play and do the things that they do well. And that's the balance I try to strike as a manager.
And you alluded earlier to the outside pressure that's been on Mikel Arteta over the course of his Arsenal career. How much do you hope a successful season for Arsenal might be a message to other chairmen and chief executives as to the value of patience when managers like yourself are trying to build something?
I think that the support that I have internally in this club is better than anywhere I've ever been in my life. Now, I know that when you lose, that questions arise. That's normal from you guys, from everyone, from fans, and I accept that. And it's my responsibility to make sure we lose as little as possible. And my goal is to never lose. So that's the job. I'm not afraid of that. I accept that responsibility. I take it straight on, and I'm here to do the job. And I believe that I'm the man to do the job. But I'm doing it with my staff, with my team, with the leaders in this club, with my ownership. We're together, right? And I feel incredibly supported, and it empowers me to do the job I think is necessary to help us win.
With Patrick, did you anticipate it might be this sort of season for him, stop-start? Did you think at this point he would be in full flow rather than where he is at the moment?
Well, we talked as a medical team that to expect Patrick to be, after coming back from such a long, basically he almost missed the entire season. And I even spoke with Patrick at one point to say, we have to manage you, right? We have to just every week be careful. And even with making progress, we have to understand how to slow it down at the right moments, because it's normal that after such a long time out, that it's not necessarily the planner that bothers him. It's other injuries because his body's not used to performing at the level he needs to perform at every week. So how have we done on that? Probably not as good as I would have hoped, but I think we're still okay. I think he's fit and healthy right now. For example, today he was given a down day. He didn't train today. And we just gave him a regen day, and we've developed a sort of rhythm with him to make sure that we're providing him physically with what he needs to continue to build. Football-wise, enough in training so that he's clear on his role and is getting better and sharper and more dangerous and cleaner. And then we have to just continue to progress that way.
This team's obviously been built for a really specific system. How able, I guess, is this squad to play differently if it needs to? How much do you coach adaptability for the periods in the games where it's not working?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot in ours, and I think in all sports right now, there's dialogue out there about plan A, plan B. And for me, that comes from people that don't know what this requires. Because everything that we do is about, first of all, being really good at a plan A and having a strong plan A, but then always knowing how and when to slip to a plan B or a plan C or a plan D. That can be use of formation in our sport, how that manifests itself. It can be use of formations. It can be use of subs. It can be use of starting lineups. It can be use of how you choose to press a team, how you choose to possess the ball, how you manipulate your style of play for what the opponent's going to present to try to manipulate what their weaknesses are and assess their strengths. So every single week includes plan A through plan Z. And for anyone to assume that good managers and good coaches don't have any other idea of how to be pragmatic would be incorrect, I think. I think that would undermine the work that gets done by managers and coaches.
Jesse, you spoke there about goal scoring. And that's like, do you feel you would like to move in the market in January? Like you were trying to buy a sort of established goal scorer and it didn't quite happen. Is it something you might revisit in January?
It's a little, we're going to have a meeting in a couple of weeks about the transfer window in the winter. It's a little bit early to discuss these things. However, that was clearly a target of ours, and we will assess the attacking part of the field as we move forward and figure out what we need to add. When I've talked about this, I think that the young group of attacking players that we have now is really exciting. Really exciting. And one of the beauties is when they're playing with the 21s and when they're training with us, they're showing that quality every day. And it's continuing to make me think about what's the right time to start to let some of these guys go a little bit more and give them more opportunities with the first team. So, that's one of the shames a little bit that the results haven't been better, because then maybe I could be a little bit riskier or braver or whatever with some of the younger players. And I need to still consider that as we're moving forward, no matter what, because I want this to be part of our process and I need to be brave regardless. So I'm trying to evaluate every week what bites to give these players, because I think they're good. I think they're doing really well.